Villisca, Iowa, a small town, quiet, peaceful. In the early 1900s, life in Villisca was simple. People knew their neighbors, they worked hard, they trusted each other. It was a place where children played freely. The town was surrounded by farmland. The scent of freshly cut hay filled the air. Villisca was a place where people felt safe. Josiah Moore was a successful businessman. He owned a farm implement store. He was respected in the community. His wife, Sarah, was a devoted mother. She was active in the Presbyterian Church. They had 4 children, Herman, Mary, Arthur, and Paul. The Moores were a well-respected family. They were active members of the community. They were loved by many. June 9th, 1912, seemed like an ordinary day in Villisca. The Moore children attended a children's program at the Presbyterian Church. They sang songs. They enjoyed ice cream. That evening, the Moore family returned home. They were joined by 2 young guests, Lena and Ina Stillinger. The girls were friends of the Moore children. They were spending the night. Around 7 p.m., neighbors saw the Moore children playing in their yard. It was the last time they were seen alive. The next morning, Mary Peckham grew worried. Mary was the Moore's neighbor. She noticed the house was unusually quiet. No one had seen the family all morning.
I knocked on the door. There was no answer. I tried the door handle. It was locked. I peered through the windows. What I saw chilled me to the bone. I ran to get the town marshal, Hank Horton.
He arrived and broke down the door. The scene that greeted them was horrific. Section 5, Whispers of Suspicion, the suspects. The news of the murders spread quickly. Panic gripped Villisca. The once peaceful town was now shrouded in fear and uncertainty. Neighbors began to eye each other with suspicion, and the sense of community was replaced by an atmosphere of distrust. Who could have committed such a horrific crime? The question lingered in the air, haunting the townspeople day and night. Theories and rumors spread like wildfire, each more outlandish than the last. Everyone had their own idea of who the murderer could be, but no one had any concrete evidence. Suspicion fell on several people. The authorities were under immense pressure to find the culprit, and they began to round up suspects for questioning. The town's gossip mill went into overdrive, with names being whispered in hushed tones. Frank F. Jones, a prominent businessman, had a contentious relationship with Josiah Moore. Their rivalry was well known, and many believed that Jones had a motive for murder. Some speculated that business disputes had escalated to a deadly level. William Blackie Mansfield, a transient worker, was known to be in Villisca at the time of the murders. His presence in the town was suspicious, and his transient lifestyle made him an easy target for suspicion. People wondered if he had a dark past that had finally caught up with him. The Reverend George Kelly, a traveling preacher, had a history of mental instability and a fascination with the murders. His erratic behavior and strange comments about the crime made him a person of interest. Some believed that his religious fervor had taken a sinister turn. Henry Lee Moore, a suspected serial killer, was later linked to similar axe murders. His criminal record and the nature of his crimes made him a prime suspect. The possibility that a serial killer was on the loose added another layer of fear to the already terrified town. Each suspect brought their own set of questions and doubts, but the true identity of the murderer remained a mystery. Section 6, the investigation, dead ends and loose threads. The investigation was chaotic. The crime scene was poorly secured. Evidence was mishandled. Despite their efforts, authorities struggled to piece together the events of that night. The murder weapon, an axe, was never found. The lack of conclusive evidence and the conflicting testimonies hampered the investigation. No one was ever convicted of the Villisca axe murders. Section 7, Frank F. Jones, a vengeful spirit. The story of Frank F. Jones is one shrouded in mystery and suspicion. His name has been etched into the annals of history, not just for his political career, but for the dark cloud that hung over him. Frank F. Jones became a prime suspect in one of the most gruesome and unsolved cases of the early 20th century. The Villisca axe murders left the small town of Villisca, Iowa, in a state of shock and fear. Jones was a state senator, a man of considerable influence and power. His position in society made the accusations against him all the more sensational. He was a powerful man in Villisca, known for his stern demeanor and strong political connections. His influence extended beyond the town, making him a formidable figure in the region. Josiah Moore and Frank Jones were business rivals. Their rivalry was well known and often the subject of local gossip. The two men had once been partners, but their relationship soured over time. They had a bitter feud that escalated over the years. Business disagreements turned personal, and the animosity between them grew. The townspeople were well aware of their ongoing conflict. Some people believed Jones had a motive for the murders. Theories and rumors spread like wildfire, with many pointing to the intense rivalry as a possible reason for the heinous crime. However, Jones had alibis for the night of the murders. He was never charged. Despite the suspicions and the whispers that followed him, the evidence was never enough to bring him to trial.
I was a state senator, a man of influence. My position and reputation were built over years of hard work and dedication. The accusations against me were baseless and driven by envy and malice. Yes, Josiah and I had our differences, but to think I could commit such a crime, it's unthinkable. Our disagreements were purely business-related, and I would never resort to violence. I had alibis, and yet, the whispers never ceased. The townspeople's suspicions were fueled by fear and the need to find a scapegoat. My life was forever changed by these unfounded accusations.
Despite the suspicions, Frank F. Jones was never charged with the Villisca axe murders. The case remains unsolved to this day, leaving a haunting legacy in the town of Villisca. The mystery of who committed the brutal murders continues to intrigue and terrify, with Frank F. Jones's name forever linked to the dark history of that fateful night. Section 8. The Shadow of Doubt. Other suspects. In the annals of criminal history, the Villisca axe murders remain one of the most perplexing and chilling cases. Over the years, several individuals have come under scrutiny, each casting a long shadow of doubt. William Blackie Mansfield was another suspect. He was a drifter, a man who wandered from place to place, never settling down. His transient lifestyle made him a person of interest to the authorities. He had a history of violence with several run-ins with the law. His criminal record was extensive, painting a picture of a man with a volatile temper and a propensity for aggression. Mansfield was known to be in Villisca on the night of the murders. Witnesses reported seeing him in the vicinity, adding to the suspicion that he might have been involved in the gruesome crime. He fled town shortly after the bodies were discovered, which only fueled the speculation. His sudden departure raised many eyebrows and led investigators to believe he had something to hide.
Reverend George Kelly was a traveling preacher with a troubled past. His eccentric behavior and erratic actions made him a suspect in the eyes of the law. He confessed to the murders while in custody for a similar crime. His confession was detailed and chilling, describing the events of that fateful night in Villisca. However, his confession was inconsistent with the evidence. There were discrepancies in his account that did not match the forensic findings, leading to doubts about his involvement. He was later ruled out as a suspect. Despite his confession, the lack of concrete evidence meant that Reverend Kelly could not be definitively linked to the crime. The mystery of the Villisca axe murders remains unsolved, with the true perpetrator still unknown.
Section 9. Villisca today. A legacy of fear. The Villisca axe murders shocked the nation. The crime remained unsolved. The town of Villisca was forever changed. The Moore House still stands today. It is now a museum. Visitors come from all over to see the house where the murders took place. The murders left an indelible mark on Villisca. The town is forever linked to the horrific crime. Section 10. The Haunting of Villisca. Paranormal Encounters. Over the years, the Villisca Axe Murder House has become a popular destination for paranormal investigators. Many believe the house is haunted by the victims of the murders.
Visitors and investigators have reported strange and unexplained phenomena. Disembodied voices, cold spots, and apparitions are among the reported occurrences. Some claim to have experienced feelings of unease and dread while inside the house. Others say they have seen the ghosts of the Moore family. Section 11. An enduring enigma, the unsolved murders.
The Villisca axe murders remain a mystery. The case is still unsolved. The killer or killers were never brought to justice.
The lack of answers has fueled speculation. Theories abound. Was it a crime of passion, a robbery gone wrong? The mystery continues to fascinate and haunt us. The Villisca axe murders serve as a chilling reminder that some crimes remain shrouded in darkness.